tuning in to the Eggman Empire. Authorization approved. Access granted.
Actually, Mimic's plan to kill Whisper is impossibly weak. He shapeshifted as Sonic to lure out Whisper by publicly doing some of the most menial crimes you could possibly imagine, while posing as the most famous hero in the world. This should have brought out literally every single character of the cast, but it somehow only brought out Whisper. So once Whisper is conveniently the one who finds Mimic, he tries to kill her, fails his attempt, and then runs away. To which Mimic confirms to himself that the only reason he was even put on the run was because of Whisper's wisps. So then it somehow turns into getting Whisper into this explosive-laced Eggman base, which I guess was the plan all along. Wouldn't it have made more sense for Mimic to just constantly shapeshift and then eventually kill Whisper when she least expects it? But it's not like Whisper can see right through it, especially if Mimic was just a random pedestrian that Whisper had never met before, and he's overcomplicating it by constantly making it clear to Whisper and everyone else that he's shapeshifting. Mimic is the poster child of how not to be an assassin. I do not understand Mimic's motivation for killing his friends. He does it to be pardoned for his crimes against Eggman so that he can freely do whatever he likes, but if the world is completely destroyed or taken over by Eggman, he won't be doing anything at all. Mimic even acknowledges that he thinks Eggman will basically have 99% of the world if he succeeds. It just makes no sense that he would rather betray his team to just, I guess, go into hiding forever? Mimic doesn't even seem to want to kill his friends, or at least not Whisper. Mimic probably could have been like, hey guys, I don't really want to do this anymore, and then live the rest of his days in their hideout. He could have even just been a dude at the Diamond Cutter's base, surveilling and giving updates if he felt useless. Mimic was literally in the office of Eggman. The dude was left completely defenseless to any sort of abomination that Mimic could turn into, immediately ending the war on the spot and killing Eggman. But of course he wouldn't do that because, I don't know, reasons? Obviously, he wasn't killed in Sonic Forces, but can anybody genuinely tell me why it would make sense, story-wise, for Mimic to not just kill Eggman here? How did the Diamond Cutters even end up working together? Are they even friends? I couldn't get over this moment either. When Mimic poses as Sonic again, Mimic is just so stupid. Why would he say that he heard somebody was impersonating Sonic and he came to help out and even brought Tails along? How would Sonic even know about this fight happening at this base that he's never been to? Mimic is the worst and most obvious shapeshifter I've ever seen in a story. He is subtle about nothing. Mimic can literally turn into anything he wants at any time with seemingly no limits or even amount of time that he can stay shifted. He can even take damage and remain shifted. So there's no actual reason that Mimic doesn't just shapeshift into a gnat, crawl inside Whisper's body, and shift back to normal, exploding her body on the way out. A shapeshifter who could turn into literally anything is busted. So IDW's counter wasn't to find a weakness or ways to keep it from being overpowered, no. Their solution was to make Mimic a complete moron. They need to find a better flaw other than character is whiny, stupid, and lazy. Mimic is way too dumb in comparison to the backstory that they created for him. He's also a terrible fighter, being completely outmatched by Tangle and Whisper. The dude has the ability to shapeshift into anything. Just shapeshift into one of the giant buzz bombers, or an even bigger octopus, and strangle these two to death. Mimic is just an asshole. I mean, there's not much to him. His motivations aren't even valid. He gave up everything, even his wisp, got his friends killed, and received nothing in return, when he could have just straight up killed Eggman on the spot by shapeshifting into anything big or small and get the job done, ending the entire war. Instead, he just did Eggman's bidding and has now failed 3 times to defeat all of the Diamond Cutters. He got utterly destroyed by Tangle and Whisper with ease, and now he's just locked up with no friends to call on. He's a villain with nothing going for him. The only thing he can do right now is hope that Tails will have some idiot over that's going to let him out. He can then shapeshift into mini Resistance members to kill Whisper, but he's obviously not going to kill her because he would much rather make it obvious to everybody that he's currently shapeshifting. Or when Mimic ends up at the prison Tails sends him to, nobody will understand that he can just shapeshift and leave. Mimic's desire to get out of doing anything is just so odd. He comes off as a very whiny person. He's entirely out for himself, sure, but in reality he's actually just terrible at his job. Even though IDW made it a point to make sure everybody knows how crazy he is at what he does, from what we're presented, I'm surprised that he's even gotten this far in life at all. He whines about Eggman having all this focus on Whisper, as if Eggman's not making him do all the work. Mimic does have a really cool design. He looks visually striking, and his shapeshifting gimmick could be really cool, but the way he goes about using the ability is so lackluster and counterintuitive. The fact that Whisper didn't force Tangle to stop acting stupid completely betrays her character and everything she would actually know about how Mimic operates. There would be absolutely no reason for Eggman or even Mimic to call them off. The entire point was to kill Tangle and Whisper. What happened to the shadow androids? Why was Whisper just able to walk inside and nothing happened to her? Why were the Wisps just hanging out in the room? Where was the security?